Hello everybody, this is Graeme, and today I'm going to be looking at Mezen. Mezen? I think it's Mezen. Now the first thing that struck me about this game was just the look of it. I think this looks absolutely fantastic. Now the theme in this one is that we're northern craftspeople who are using the soot and the red clay, kind of like the red here, from our region to create intricate ornamental paintings. Now while the look and the theme do seem interesting to me, the gameplay reminds me a bit of those like match 3 games you play on your phone, where you're going to be selecting a group of the same symbol, they get removed from the grid, and you have the other ones kind of trickle down to fill in the spaces, then you fill the ones back up on top. And that's kind of what this game works. Now the trick is though, when this one is there, it's a scoring at the end of every round. So while planning how to score, you'll always keep an eye out on then what the next round scoring is going to be, and that's going to be the key to winning this game. So I kind of always forward planning. So will this game be like a beautiful painting on the wall, or should it just be given away at the next garage sale? Let's get it to the table, see how it's played, and we'll come back with my final thoughts on Mezen. So here's Mezen set up. Pick 2 symbols from the bottom of the scorecards and take all the cards with those symbols. You're going to have 12 in total. Shuffle them and place 10 out of the 12 around the board in their places. Put the other 2 back in the box. Turn the first 2 cards face up. These will be one of your main ways to score points during the game. Each round you will score the current face-up card, but you'll also be able to see what scoring is coming up for the next round. Each player takes a different set of tiles. Shuffle them and place them randomly face up in a 5x5 grid in front of you. Each player places their scoring marker on the 0 space and are dealt 5 amulets, with the rest going to the middle of the board. The game is played over 10 rounds. You'll score points during the game for completing the current goal cards. There will also be an interim scoring in the 5th round for every tile on its dark side, and finally there will be points awarded at the end of the game for every tile that's on its light side, remaining amulets, and 1 point for each tile in your largest group of animals. Now during each round, the start player will turn over the next goal card, starting in round 2. The start player will then announce one of the 5 symbols. Then, every player chooses one group of the announced connected symbols from their play area. You can, as the non-active player, give the active player one of your amulets to choose a different symbol for yourself. Some of the dark sides have spruce trees on them. You can never select a spruce tree by itself. It is a wild symbol used to extend groups. You can also use an amulet this time to bridge 2 groups of the same symbol to create a larger symbol. Or you can use an amulet to break up the chosen group. Once you've chosen your group and used any amulets, remove all the tiles from that group, excluding any tiles with an amulet on it. Then remove any amulets from your painting and then go back to the board. Each player then fills in the holes in their grid by moving tiles down, which will leave empty spaces at the top of your grid. The tiles that you just removed, flip them to their other side and place them in the empty spots in the top of your painting so you have a 5x5 grid again. Once all players are done, go to end of round scoring. Each card will have a goal on it and the amount of victory points you receive for achieving that goal. You can refuse to take the victory points and instead just take 2 amulets instead. Finally, flip the current goal card face down and pass the first player token. After 5 rounds, there's an interim scoring where each player will score 1 point for every dark tile in their grid. At the end of the game, you'll score 1 point for every light tile showing, 1 point for each remaining amulet. Then each player selects their largest group, including spruce trees, and scores 1 point for every tile in that group. And the player with the most points is the winner. Now let's get back to see what I thought about Mezen. On to theme and components. The theme in this one is quickly gone as soon as you start playing and you realize this is an abstract strategy game. But the theme definitely connects to all the components. And the components in this one I felt were quite good. Now like I said in the intro, I really like the look of this, the ones that are just the red and black on the white. Now of course the reverse side is kind of opposite colors, but they are good quality, and I like that the amulets have different patterns on them. Now the patterns don't mean anything game-wise, but it is a nice touch to see that with all those amulets that they're all different. Now I do have to quickly mention the rulebook though. There is an error in this particular printing of the game, which will be corrected in future printings, and that's clarified also on Board Game Geek. Now the rulebook states that when you remove pieces and you flip them over, you randomly place those pieces back into your painting. And the first time I played that, I played by those rules as they were written in the book. And I must say I was very unimpressed with this game, as it just felt completely random and it felt almost impossible to get any of those endgame scoring. Now after finding correction, it did make the game significantly better. Now the gameplay itself is nice and simple. A player picks a group, remove them, flip them over and place them back, all while trying to achieve this round's bonus. And that's really kind of the crux of the gameplay. And if that puzzle appeals to you, then you're probably going to enjoy this game. But of course, not everybody's going to enjoy that. Now, I do have one minor complaint. And I'm not sure how they would fix it or whether this is really a valid one. Maybe it's just a personal feeling. Now, the reverse side of these are not known. So I have kind of two horses here, but I can't know what's on the other side of them. And they're going to be different. Now, I don't want all horses to be, let's say, all roosters here. But when you're trying to plan to try and get those things, you don't know what group to pick because you don't know what's on the opposite side. The only one you do know the opposite side of is the spruce trees. And there's a little tiny spruce tree at the very top of this that kind of shows you that this is a spruce tree on the other side. Again, I'm not sure how to fix that, but it did make my planning more difficult and it kind of lessened my enjoyment a little bit. Now, I still enjoy the fundamentals of the game. And since you're scoring each round, everyone is almost always scoring a little bit of points per round. And that interim scoring, again, nothing complicated, but just like a little bump in your score. And I think that kind of sums up this game. It's 10 rounds of little bumps of scoring. Nothing too difficult, nothing too complex, and nothing's going to score you a ton of points, but you always feel like you're making a little bit of progress, which is nice. So, would I recommend this game? Yes, I think ultimately I would. It may not set the world of abstract games on fire, but you know what? It's an enjoyable play. I really like the look of this game with that black and red symbols on the white background. I like that each game you had a different set of objectives, but none of them were overly complicated. I like the main mechanism of pulling tiles off, cascading the rows down and refilling it. And you know what? I thought the amulets were extremely useful and definitely helped you achieve your goals, especially in the higher player counts. Now, I did find that the randomness may be a little too high for my ultimate enjoyment of the game, and I really felt at 4 players, again, I had less control over things, and it lessened my enjoyment. I much prefer this one at the lower player counts. 2 I found quite enjoyable. So overall though, I am going to give this one a 7 out of 10 in the Dice Tower seal of approval. It's a fun abstract strategy game that might have a little too much randomness for me to really plan and really love the game, but the look and fun mechanisms definitely help bring this back up to a definite recommend. But that's it for the moment. Until next time, thanks for watching.